Hello, our topic today is Queen Elizabeth II. We are going to do an astrological analysis of her birth chart, and this is the first in a series of videos. After this video, I will do a video on King Charles III, and then on William and Harry. Okay, so Queen Elizabeth, I'm making this video on September 20th. It's the day after the funeral for Elizabeth II. She died very recently, and let's see what some of the fundamental driving forces in Elizabeth's life are. Number one, here's her birth chart. This is not the prettiest chart wheel in the world, but this is the one we use in vibrational astrology because it has a big inner circle here for the aspect lines, which helps us see these planetary configurations clearly. Okay, first thing I want to show you is the midpoint structures. In vibrational astrology, which is the system I use, we put tremendous emphasis on the direct midpoint structures, especially if they have under a half-degree orb. Very, very exact midpoint structures. So we look at her midpoint. So let me zoom this in a little bit. There we go. Okay. And we'll see that the moon is opposition the Sun-Saturn midpoint with a 12-minute orb. Now, when the orb is under about 15 minutes, it's so strong, you can read it directly off the chart. It's that powerful. You don't have to start looking at the whole rest of the chart wheel to understand everything about the person. It's going to be a clear and present reality for the person, much more conspicuous and clear than, for example, the zodiac signs like the rising sign, sun sign, moon sign, things like that. What does it mean to have moon at the Sun-Saturn midpoint? By the way, let's get a visualization of it. Here is the moon in Leo in the 7th house. Here's the sun towards the bottom of the chart at 0 Taurus. Here's Saturn up here at 24 Scorpio. It's not obvious, but the moon is directly in between Sun and Saturn. Now, what this means is that there is a kind of deep sincerity, a honesty, a driving to essentials, a no funny business kind of person. Somebody who's a straight shooter, you might say, doesn't like a lot of evasiveness, simple, plain, straight, clear, what are you talking about? No nonsense, let's get real kind of feeling. Now, the next step that we take in understanding this is we see if this moon at Sun-Saturn is in a vibration. And we go to this report that's available in the Kepler and Sirius software, and it tells us what vibration these things are in. I highlight it, and it tells me that the moon opposition Sun-Saturn is 7 vibration. Now we have a very clear story, and I'll show you a visualization of what's going on. I'll right-click on this wheel, I'll go to Customize, I'll go to Aspects, and I will select the septiles. So what this is showing is that the moon is in a septile aspect to Saturn and to the Sun, and the Sun and Saturn are also in a septile aspect. There are only 3 septile aspects, 1/7, 2/7, 3/7. In other words, septile means sevenths of a circle. So this, I can tell, is 2/7 because if it was 1/7, they just wouldn't be that far away. It doesn't really matter that much whether it's 1/7, 2/7, or 3/7, and you can see that it's symmetrical. The distance from moon to Saturn is the same as moon to sun. Those are both 2/7, putting the moon right at the midpoint. Now we have a very clear story of what's going on in Elizabeth's life, especially when you have Saturn in 7 vibration. It's very clear, and it's with the lights, both the sun and moon. This means somebody who withdraws, who goes into their own world, who can maintain a distance, who can be quiet, who can be reserved, who can be reticent. They don't need to talk a lot. They can stand back. They can watch. They tend to be deep. They tend to be wise. They tend to be removed from things. It's only one side to the person. This does not describe everything about the person. This is just the first planetary configuration we're looking at. It's describing one side of the person. In vibrational astrology, we look at these as being similar to radio stations. It's a signal coming into the person that the person's going to respond to periodically. This withdrawing, this reserve, it can give a kind of dignity, a maturity, a distance, a quiet, a depth of personality. Is this part of Elizabeth's life? How does this function? Well, here's one of the first statements from the Wikipedia article about the image of Queen Elizabeth II. The image of Elizabeth II, Queen of the United Kingdom from 1952 to 2022, she was queen for 70 years, was generally favorable throughout her years as a reigning monarch. Conservative in dress, she was well known for her solid color overcoats and matching hats, which allowed her to be seen easily in a crowd. She attended many cultural events as part of her public role. Her main leisure interests include horse racing, photography, and dogs, especially her Pembroke Welsh corgis. Now I've got this in bold. Her views on political issues and other matters were largely subject to conjecture. She had never given a press interview and was otherwise not known to discuss her personal opinions publicly. She never gave a press interview. And this is part of the idea of the monarchy. It's been a tradition that the monarchs would be removed from politics. Most kings and queens do not observe that completely 100%, but Queen Elizabeth II did. It's almost never clear what her views are. She's reserved, she's deep, she's able to keep quiet. Imagine if you were in a position of power like that. Something is going on politically, socially, something's going on in the world. There are wars, there's hunger, there's all kinds of things going on. Wow, how long can you keep quiet? You know, we want to share our view. Our view is going to have a big impact if we are the king or queen of the United Kingdom. But she's reserved, she's quiet, she has that kind of gravitas and dignity that fits, that's suitable for a person of her stature. All these words are Saturn 7 vibration words. Stature, dignity, reserve, reticence, wisdom, gravitas. She has that. She is that. So she is in the right job. What we do in vibrational astrology is we try to help a person get into their zone, get attuned to their frequency, live a life that fits their way. Part of her way would have to be to have this detachment. Now, she is a public figure. She's being observed all the time. So she's very public at the same time that she has this reserve, this dignity, and this distance, and you might say even this kind of wisdom to be quiet and deep, the opposite of a chatterbox. There it is. What I'm saying is that is why she is that way. Now you can look at her chart and you can say, oh, she has Capricorn rising, etc. You can find, oh, Saturn's ruling it. It's near the top of the chart. You may find other reasons for this. But what I'm saying from the viewpoint of vibrational astrology is we can pull up other charts of people with Capricorn rising, and they're not so quiet and reserved. There's so many ways that these things can get expressed. The moon at Sun-Saturn midpoint in 7 vibration, very consistent, very clear. You'll see extremely little deviation, extremely few other ways that it can get expressed. The person needs to pull back, be alone. I can imagine her in some of those castles, huge castles. She has attendants. She has correspondence going on, but very often to herself. Also, as a matter of interest, she was married for almost her entire life to Philip, and they slept in separate beds, by the way, is the information about it. That's kind of part of, the culture and the style that they have. She has a lot of time alone, a lot of time to herself, a lot of time to feel and think through things. This is the moon, sun, Saturn. It gave her the dignity. It gave her the reserve. It gave her the ability to be quiet. Perfect for a queen in that mode. That's why she is that way. Okay, so that's one of the first things that we see looking at her chart from a vibrational astrology point of view. Now, to go back to our PowerPoint, what is the next thing that we see about her is in her 8 vibration. So what we do in vibrational astrology is we look at these direct midpoint structures that have very small orbs. In her natal chart, let's go back to that. Let me cancel out of this and go back to those midpoints. What we have in her chart is the moon at Sun Saturn, 12 minutes. Anything else less than half a degree? Yes. Venus is conjunct the Mercury Jupiter midpoint, 22 minutes. Neptune is opposition Mars Jupiter midpoint, 21 minutes. She has 3 midpoint structures. We will talk about these other 2 midpoint structures a little bit later. There's another very strong midpoint structure I want to talk about. It's in her 8 vibration chart. So what we do is we look at these symmetry patterns in the birth chart and in the 8 vibration chart. I know it sounds strange, it sounds peculiar, it's not the thing that's done in most systems of astrology, but in vibrational astrology, we consider this to be the most important, the most conspicuous, in-your-face things going on for the person. We look at her 8 vibration chart. This is also called a harmonic chart. It shows basically hard, driving, motivating forces in the person's life. And then we look at the midpoint structures in this harmonic chart. And we're going to see her sun at Mars, Saturn. This is her strong work ethic, her sense of service, of working, of doing what needs to be done. And we'll see also a Venus of Mars, Neptune with only 3 minutes. She's got several very strong midpoint structures, and here's one I want to look at, Uranus at Sun, Saturn, 15 minutes. Now we can do the same thing, find out what vibration they're in. We use this feature in the Kepler and Sirius software that shows us the vibration that's going on. Let me just check. Yeah, what I want to talk about is, yes, I just wanted to make sure I know where I'm heading on this next thing. What we want to do is look at this Uranus at Sun Saturn. Uranus opposition to Sun Saturn midpoint, 15-minute orb, and it's in 26 vibration, 13 times 2. If you're a student of vibrational astrology, this has a very clear, conspicuous meaning, very strong impact. I'll talk in a minute about what it's about. There's also another 13 vibration here, Venus opposition Mars Neptune, in 13 times 3, which is 39. These are both based on 13. She has a very strong 13 vibration with these direct midpoint structures in the 8 vibration. This is 13 vibration within the 8 vibration chart, by the way. So I won't go into all the details of that, but just take my word for it. We go to the 8 vibration chart. I mean, I'm not going to go into details of why we do this and exactly what's going on. We don't need to know that, in terms of how that relates back to the natal chart. All you need to know is you look at the 8 vibration chart. The 8 vibration chart is like an inner natal chart. It's the inner driving force. And we see that she has Uranus opposition Sun Saturn in a 13 times 2 vibration. Oh my God. Oh, I didn't want to bring that up. Sorry. We closed that. What I wanted to bring up is this. So this Uranus opposition Sun Saturn, and also the Venus opposition Mars Neptune, both having a 13 quality to them. Uranus at Sun Saturn in 13 vibration is a sense of privilege, a sense of that you have the right to do whatever you want to do, that you don't need to be part of the common laws of people, that you can rise above and operate above and beyond the normal conditions of people. So people that live above or outside the law, or in some way are pursuing some more transcendent or more unique, they can be outlaws. I often say 13 vibration is a vibration of gurus and gangsters. Gurus, people who pursue something outside the norm of everyday life. Gangsters, who feel like they can break the law, don't have to follow human law. And royalty, who are a cut above the stations of life that other people have. Uranus at Sun Saturn, extremely independent, extremely self-willed, feeling entitled. That's the word I was looking for before. It was in the back of my mind. Entitlement. That she would live her entire life as royalty, become queen. I think she was in her early 20s. For 70 years is Queen of England. Wakes up, she has attendance, she's royalty, she's special, she's different from everyone else. Now, for some royalty, they struggle with this a little bit. It's like, whoa, I'm getting up and I'm royalty and I'm being treated this way and I have to behave in certain ways. Well, all of that dignity and formality and reserve felt natural to her. The Saturn at Sun Moon, 7 vibration, perfect. The feeling that she has a purpose in life to express, to represent, to be that higher essence, that nobility, that royalty, as an example to the world, to preserve our sense that we are more than just people in the everyday flow of life, and not getting caught up in that, in petty arguments, in all the challenges. People get into road rage because somebody cut them off, little fights at work, disagreements with your neighbor because you didn't cut your grass or something. All these things, you didn't dress the right way, everybody picking on everybody, fighting, trying to buy something from someone and they're charging you too much money. All of these petty, ridiculous, ego-driven things that tend to spread, like you might say, almost like a cancer, like a fabric throughout our lives that we have to deal with. To go into 13 vibration and be above that and live in that and represent that as a reminder, as an inspiration, as an awareness, to remember that we don't need to be part of the everyday life. This is one of the basic functions of the monarchy. So what Queen Elizabeth II did, like anybody, is she has a job. She has a purpose. She has a function. She has something she does. What is her job? Her job is to be the Queen of England. It might not sound like a job. She inherited it. She just was given to her. She grew up in it. Somehow she grew up in the perfect place at the perfect time for the perfect job title. To be a person who's reserved, who is quiet, who can be quiet about her personal life, or quiet about the personal things going on around her, to have that trust, to have that dignity, to have that reserve, and to represent something beyond the everyday life. Uranus opposition Sun Saturn in a 13 times 2 vibration, which means a very strong 13 vibration, as a representative, as a spokesperson, as a person living that privileged life that she was given. It was comfortable for her. She didn't have to fight it. She didn't feel like, wow, this is weird. People, she's just a person. We're all just people. How is it that she can feel comfortable with that? Natural, in her element, being the queen, because she is the queen. 13 vibration and 7 vibration, perfect. She ends up being the longest reigning queen of England ever. She lived her life as royalty and nearly her entire life in the highest royal position of queen. She fits the role extremely well. It is natural for her. The direct midpoint structures in the natal and in the 8 vibration chart within about a 15-minute orb or less are among the most conspicuous astrological forces. There you have Queen Elizabeth, the right person at the right time for that job. She was born into it, but if you had 1,000 people apply, she could easily be the best applicant for the job, so to speak. So there you have the reason why people have such strong attachments, such strong emotion, such a strong connection to her as queen, because she was the right person at the right time. I don't mean that she was perfect. I don't mean that I think she's wonderful. I'm just saying that she had the qualities that are needed for that position. And therefore, she executes that position with authority, with command, and with an appropriate style. Excuse me. So, Queen Elizabeth's powerful 7 vibe and her powerfully, extremely individualistic 13 vibe. Now, by the way, let me stop right there. She may not seem like that much of an individualist, like someone who just does her own thing. She was always, or it may seem like she was always just following the protocol of what you're supposed to do as queen, almost as if she's not there. She's just become an actor in the play of life. Oh, she was there all right. According to her astrology chart, she chose, what she wanted. If she didn't like something, if something was going on too long, if she was in a meeting and she was getting tired of what the other people were saying, or something's not going right, she's going to put her foot down. She's going to say, no, we're done with this. We're moving on. That's Uranus, Sun, Saturn. So she's not putting up with a lot of compromise. And you see this in her relationships with her family, that she's got her own wits about her. She's going to decide what needs to be done, and she's going to do it. To the public, she's just quiet. That's 7 vibration. But in her own life, she's actually in a sense free and independent, but also loyal to her tradition. So both things are going on at the same time. And to read again from this PowerPoint slide, she had a stature, dignity, gravitas, and distance from the common people that made her an embodiment of royalty in a way which we are not likely to see again. So we're not likely to see future kings and queens express royalty in as clear and strong a manner as Queen Elizabeth II for a very long time, because of her very strong 13 vibration and 7 vibration. Why are they so strong? Because those direct midpoint structures in the natal chart and the 8 vibration chart, they are direct midpoint structures, and they're vibrating to those frequencies of 7 and 13. So what is the purpose of the British monarchy? Why is there a monarchy? It might seem like an anachronism, like, whoa, this is the 21st century. We have monarchies? What for? Well, the expression of 7 vibration and 13 vibration energies that set an example of the reserve depth and wisdom, the 7 vibration, and the rising above daily affairs, 13 vibration. That very often is the reason why there is a monarchy. So that there is something in life that's standing outside and above that's deeper 7, above 13, the normal give and take of life. And by having that, it can remind us that we need to have a little bit of that royalty in our own lives to rise above what's going on right here, to be a little bit like the queen. It's maybe easier for her. She's not in that tug of war, that give and take, the noise of daily life. But we can draw upon that inspiration and that image to be that way. And also to be dignified. This is what raises us to a higher cultural level. And you have this sense of high culture in the United Kingdom, of a kind of elegance and uplifting that people are choosing to go up above and beyond just daily interaction, and to be deeper and more reserved, to be more in control of their impulses. So all of those qualities that we have in the British monarchy that spreads, it diffuses out into the life, that's what it is. So using vibrational astrology, we see the energetic patterns. We see these primal cosmic forces and the frequencies and how they're functioning and how they are living through us and why they are there and what they are doing and why they're having such a big impact. Most of which is impossible to pin down where it's coming from without the astrology, and difficult to discern exactly what's going on. That's what's going on. And so there's a whole new world of astrology where we have opened the door into this fabric of these frequencies and their relationships. So again, to read from our slide, it's the combination of the depth and reserve of the 7 vibration plus the rising above daily affairs that gives the ability to have discipline, focus, and wisdom, which is the 7 vibration, and the more transcendent view, which raises us above ordinary life. That's the 13 vibration. And astrology reveals the energetic systems behind our lives. So it's the rephrasing of what I just said. Now, another point, important. The monarchy must set a tone for all people rather than be a projected part of ourselves. So one way in which a monarchy can become unhealthy, can become destructive for people, is that there's the monarchy. They're doing their 7 and 13 vibration. They're all very dignified and they have their rituals. Rituals are very 7 vibration. All these 7 vibration, dignified activities, and they're lifted up above the daily life, and in this exalted world with all these cathedrals and palaces, all this wondrous, you might even say divine world that they live in. If that's not something that inspires, that represents something to the people within themselves, but instead they say, oh, that's the royalty, I'm not that. That's bad. That's where you get this kind of feudal, medieval quality that happened at times, where the people just feel like, well, we're the common people, we're the farmers, and there's the royalty. That would be a huge abuse of this energetic system that's in place. Instead, what the monarchy can do is show through the great cathedrals, through the great projects, the art, the inspiration, the music, the science, the lifestyle, the vision, the colors, the flowers, the gardens, all of this, so that we can collectively put it together to see it as something that all of us should be participating in. So, monarchy gone bad. There's many ways that anything can go bad. One way that this 13 and 7 vibration configuration in life of a monarchy can go bad is that it's kept only for the monarchy and people feel separated from it. So the combination of 7 vibration and 13 vibration, if you think about it, is prone to this problem. It can be cold, it can be harsh, it can be authoritarian, and it can be detached. I mean, think about it. 7 and 13 by themselves can be this exclusive club. People that are in exclusive clubs. You don't have to be royalty, but you're acting like royalty. You know, you're in the country club, and you have all of your beautiful things and your wealth, and you keep that separate as something distinct, that you've defined yourself that I am not the common people. And the common people are not like me. When it creates separation, that's not good. Why is it not good? Because it's not true. It's not true that the queen or the country club people have some kind of ownership, exclusive ownership over 7 vibration and 13 vibration to manifest in these ways. This is something everyone can do. Everyone can tune into. And those who tune into it and express it and manifest it in a beautiful way can also set a vision, a manifestation, a way for other people to do it as well. Now, what is it that can help royalty to share, to participate in, is what we're going to discuss in the next video in this series. We're at 32 minutes. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to continue our analysis of the birth chart of Queen Elizabeth, and we're going to see a third thing come in. We've seen her very powerful 7 and 13 vibration. Why are they powerful? Because they're direct midpoint structures in the natal chart or the 8 vibration chart, and they're in a vibration, clear, powerful vibration. We're going to see a third one, and it's this third one. And you got a hint here on the screen. It can be one of 2 vibrations, 9 or 17. If that comes in, it helps prevent the royalty, the nobility, the wealthier, more elite class from being separate from everyone else, so that they can still be royalty, they can still be reserved, they can still have their rituals, they can still have their reserve and their reticence and their dignity, but they also have a way to connect and bond and uplift and share. And Queen Elizabeth has the third ingredient as well. That's why there's unlikely to be another monarch, king or queen, who is quite as archetypal, not quite as conspicuous and clear of a king or queen as she is. And that's not bad. You know, that's fine for some kings and queens to have a more human or less purely royal image with all of these qualities. That's okay. It's just the way it is, that she might be the last of that more pure old style monarchs. Or there may be more. We'll see. But the times are changing. The needs are different. And, it's unlikely to be quite the same as with the intensity of that royalty quality of Queen Elizabeth. Okay, next video, we're going to talk about the third vibration that helped Queen Elizabeth engage or connect more with the public, at least to the extent that she's so widely appreciated, despite some of the limitations and problems during her 70-year reign. We'll talk about that in the next video. That's it for this video, my friends. Thank you very much for listening. God bless. Namaste.